Hi, I'm Cynda. I'm with the Senior Kicks Club. We're going to work on one of our jewelry projects today. Today we're going to work on this one. This is called the Tree of Life. And it's a nice little pendant. You can actually use it in a number of ways. If you wanted to put it on a keychain, you could. But we're doing it today as a pendant. So give me a moment to go over some of the supplies with you. And those supplies will be the beads, the wires. If you want to have a little pair of clippers or nippers, you can. You can use little tiny pliers if you'd like, but anything that we do today can actually be done with your fingers. We're going to have a 2-inch metal ring. We're going to have the neck piece like this, the jump ring to connect it, and that's it. Not very many supplies, but it'll be a fun item to work on. As we go through the project today, we're going to start out by attaching our wires and making the roots, working slowly up into the trunk, twisting those together. And as we separate again, we'll start adding the beads to the upper part of the tree for the branches and the blooms on that tree. And that when we get that all finished, we will add our piece, our jump ring and our tie, and that will complete our project. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is separate our little pieces of wire that we've cut off of our spool. And that you'll have cut off 6, 7, 8 pieces of this wire, depending on how many of these that you want to make. For me, I've cut 8 of these off. And the first step we're going to take is we're going to take our 2-inch ring. We're going to slide the one wire through, bring it at approximately the same length. Holding it there, you're going to start wrapping the wire around your ring. And you only need to wrap it 2 or 3 times, keeping them separate. And then we're going to do this with several of these. And hold it in place and wrap. And your wrapping is coming down and away from that last one. And then I'm going to push it a little bit and move it over next to this one and do the same thing with each of the strips of wire that you've cut. Okay, continue with each one of these 8 little pieces. Wrap it around 2 or 3 times. Remembering this is going to be the root of your trees. This is the base. Each one, pull it through, even them up, and wrap it. Notice each time I kind of straighten them out when I get my last wrap on there. Measure it up. Hold my back piece. And 2 or 3 wraps. The nice thing about threading the beads on the wires, it's going to be a lot easier to thread the beads through a wire than a string. And as with every project, this is your project. You make it the way you want to make it with regard to the number of little wraps at the bottom, but you don't want to do more than 3 and that, or 4. Otherwise you're going to run out of wire for the rest of the tree. Now you notice each one of our wires is on here. And so we're going to go to step 2. Step 2, you're going to go through and make sure that you squish these little wires, their little bases, together as best you can. As we want those little root bases nice and snug against each other. We're just double checking this. Smush them all in there good and tight together. Step 3 on each one of these, we're going to take, and now we're going to just get your fingers as close as you can to the base and twist it. And we're going to twist this down, oh, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch here. And that good and tight. And then move your fingers. Each of our wires is now being tightened. And we'll progress and do this right on through. Squish our roots together. Pinch your wires and twist. Now just because I twist one way doesn't mean the way I twist is right and the way you twist is wrong. You do whatever works for you to get this twisted out a little ways. It looks like I've got 1.5 inches or so there. Make sure you keep it good and snug for that first portion. Hope this is a fun project for you. I know I enjoyed doing it. It was kind of fun trying to figure out just exactly how long things needed to be, how short they needed to be. But the nice thing about this particular project is it's a very forgiving one. So if you've decided you didn't twist enough or you twisted too much, just untwist or twist back up the ones that you want to adjust. You'll know as each step of the project how you feel about that. Squeeze my little root there together. reason this plate's under me is to kind of make it easier for me to see my beads on the next step. So if you've got your plate under you and it keeps scuttering around, don't worry about it. Move it off to the side for a minute. We'll bring it back in a moment. The other thing to note on this is that we're going to be using various colors of beads. And for myself, these were kind of some of the colors of the chakra colors. And that, however, if you want to do your beads and your Tree of Life with all of the same colors as I've used, or if you want to use your own colors, or you want to use little pieces of stone instead of the little glass beads, again, this is your project. Please feel free to do it exactly the way you want to. So now that I've got the first set of my roots started here, I'm going to take 2 of these and I'm going to twist 2 together at a little point a little higher up. So I hold my base here, and then I'm going to start twisting these 2 little ones just a little bit above that, and I'm going to give it just a few twists together so you can kind of see that I have this root down here coming up, these 2 little roots forming more of the trees starting to work towards the trunk. And I'm going to do that with each one of these. Again, we're going to hold it just a little bit apart down here, take 2 and twist the little tree roots together a little bit up, not too far. And you can see we're starting to work our way around. And remember, I told you if you do it wrong, don't worry about it. Go back and untwist. Well, I got ahead of myself. I need to move this one little root piece a little more over and use the other one. I skipped one. So I'm gonna hold those 2 a little bit together. And just like I promised, the wire is very forgiving, and it let me do that. And now I have these 2 little pieces. Don't worry that your root systems don't match perfectly. Roots aren't perfect. You've never seen one grow in actually perfect pattern out in nature, and you're not going to see it in our little tree here. Tighten this one down now to 2. And these last 2, we're going to pull them together and squeeze them a little bit. And we're going to keep these guys a little closer together now. As you notice, each one has a different type of a base on it, and that's perfectly all right. These are a root, and they are not going to be exact. So now I want to twist a little bit more of each of these and move up the base. So each one I'm going to tiny twist a little bit more so that I can do the next step, which is going to be putting the next group together. I'm hoping that you can see that amongst all these little wires that we've got going on. So I'm going to take a minute and we're going to twist all of these all the way to the top, with the exception of a little bit up there that we're going to wrap around our 2-inch ring again. Take these up. And the reason we're not going to go all the way to the top is because we need to leave room for the beadwork at the top also. So as you can see, I have these together, and now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to twist these together. And say, now my 4 has gone to 2, has gone to 1. And I have a spare in here. Okay. I'm going to take a minute now and let's spread some of these roots apart. I'm going to bring this one into this one. And I'm going to pull these two together. And now we're going to take again and pull these apart at the bottom. Now for some of you, you may find that easier to do this if you have a little pair of pliers. And you stick them in between each of these sets of roots. And you can kind of see how I'm going to pull the bases apart just a little bit. And this is truly forming our little roots. This one here, I'm going to pull these little roots a little bit apart. Let's wrap these things a little bit together. Make some more twists. Now if you decided you wanted to twist each 2 separately and pull them up and then go, that's fine. If you want to do them all together, that's fine. The point here is that we're starting to get to our main trunk. And that main trunk, we're going to take this group and we're going to, and again, if you want to use pliers, you can hold these things together with your little pliers and do the twisting. For me, I'm finding it's just fine to take my fingertips and take this whole group and twist it together. And now what we're going to do is we wanted to give it the look of a tree in the wind. A tree that's been there for a long, long life. I'm going to twist this down just a tad more here, and we're going to bend this and give it some character. And push it up now towards the center of your ring. Bend it, make it a little wind-swept, however you want. And now we're going to start working out into our branches, which means we're going to separate these. And that will take us on to step 5. So now that we've started to separate our little branch wires here again, and we've bent our tree trunk, we want to start working on the branches that we're going to push up into this. I'm going to take another minute here, squish that down. Bend my tree trunk, separating the wires. So now because we have so many little branches that we need to put in here, I'm going to make sure that they're spread out. We're going to use the whole top of the ring. Now for us, we had 7 little colors that we were using, set up in a particular order. And you'll probably be able to fit anywhere from 6 to 8 beads on your little branches in order to tie them off. So you want to make a branch and that just long enough to give you the exterior branches. So I twisted this one together and made 2 strips. And I'm going to put the next one with it. And I'm just going to find 2 little wires here and twist them together. This is going to be one little side branch. I'm now twisting those 2 twisted areas together. You can see this one I need a little twist more, and then we're going to bend it around. So I have my first little branch there. And you see now we've got the roots, we've gone up into the trunk. Now we have to make the little branches for our side branches to go off of. Now because I have 7 sets of colors, I'm going to want to make sure that I have 7 of these little pieces off to the side here. So this one is going to make 2 for me. I'm going to check over here and see how many I need to make this one. These little branches together. Hopefully the diagram is helping you some to see what you may not be able to see that I'm actually doing. So this one here I'm going to take and I'm going to actually twist 2 of them together. And as I twist, I'm going to grab this 3rd little piece here and pull it in. And these trees, like I said, they've been alive for a long time. They're twisted, they're gnarled, and that's what the look that we're going for is. Let's see how we're doing. I'm going to fit that up here and see how we're doing. This little branch needs to be twisted up. I'm going to start all the way down here with it. Take little groups, just twist them together. Okay. I'm going to kind of bend these around, see where they're going to go. If you think one of your little branches needs more twisting, twist it some more. If you think you need to add another one to it, you didn't do enough, add another one to it. I'm going to keep this just about like that, I think. Definitely going to bend that tree, that gnarled old tree. Bend it over a little more. And let's start seeing if we can put some beads on this. For me, I'm going to start with my little crystal clear beads. On the first branch, I'm going to try to put it on. Let's see just how many I can fit on there. And this is where that plate comes in. Because if you're anything like me, trying to put these in, you're either going to drop some, or they're going to, whoops, bounce off just like that one did. I'm going to set this down. Let's see if I can help me thread this. Okay, let's see what that looks like. I think I'll put a couple more on and just make one row of these little crystal ones for my tree. Now, if you decided you only wanted to put those 4 on and it didn't look quite right to you, you can always twist that branch a little bit more, bring it so that the beads are a little bit closer out to the edge. Or you can add more beads and build it up. Some of these are going to have just a few of one color and 2 branches maybe of the same color, but mine right now I'm just going to keep just like this. And as you can see, that last bead is right to the edge of my ring. And I'm going to take my little branch that I have my piece of wire, I'm going to tuck it in, and I'm going to pull it around and snug it up. And again, I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times. Those of you that are working with pliers, feel free to reach in, grab this wire, snug it up, push it through, snug it up, and then just leave it sit like that. Squeeze these together just a little bit. There you go. And I think on my next branch, I'm going to go ahead and do my lavender colored. You can hold these in your hand and string them from between your fingers. You can do like I'm trying to do and just hold them through my fingertips. And sometimes you want to put them down on your hand like this. That may help you find the beads. Well, this one, it looks like 4 would fit there nicely, but I think I'm going to try for 1 more bead on there. And then I'm going to kind of bend that branch a little bit. Let's see, put a little arc to it. And I'm going to take my wire and do the same as I did before. I'm just going to bend that down in there. Some of you will hand pull that, or some of you will use your pliers. These 2 or 3 good turns around there. Twist it down in. and snug it up. And at that point, I think I kind of like the way that's looking right there. So this branch here, take it one more time down in there. I'll take my little nippers, nip off that branch. I like the way this one's set up. I'm going to take little nippers off that. For those of you with pliers, bend it down around. Bend it down around. For those of you that don't, just kind of pull it snug with your fingers. I like that. So I think I want to do another branch of that. Let me make sure. We're going to go through and count here because I want to make sure I can get all 7 colors on. So I can do at least a couple there, couple there. There's 4. 5, 6. Oh yeah, I can definitely get another one. So I'm going to twist a little bit of this together, make this branch extend just a little more. And I'm going to put some more of that last color on there because I really liked it. Well, that definitely seems to be an easier way for me to thread my beads. Like I said, some of us are going to be more nimble with our fingers than others. And I'm going to bring that branch down and start wrapping it. In there, I snugged it with my fingers. If you have pliers, you can take that last little tip, just snug it that way. And I'm going to move on to my next color. Let's see how I want this one to go. Remember, there's no wrong way for these branches to end up. This is a gnarled old tree of life. It's been here forever. That one, it looks like I'm going to fit about 4 on that wire and still be able to crunch it sideways and make the branch just kind of bent and gnarly. Got my wire to where I want it. If you have pliers, snug it with your pliers. If you don't, just pull it snug with your fingers. Nip off that last little bit there and smooth it with my fingertips. And I like this blue, so I want to do another row of blue on there. Well, at least I'm going to try to do another row of blue on there. Bend it to the side and wrap my wire. Okay, go to my next color. And we're going to work on through each one of our colors. And that with mine, it's going from the crystal to the kind of lavender pink to the nice heavy indigo blue and to my turquoise or green, whichever you prefer to call that. I'll go into my gold, my orange, and then my reds. Tightening each one as I go along, as I've added the color. Again, looks like, oh, I'll leave one more bead, I think, to be comfortable with that spot for me. And I kind of want to get that branch a little more bent, so that's what I'm going to do. My tree, my angles. Your tree, your angles. If you want to do it perfectly smooth and symmetrical coming straight up, you keep doing that. If you want to bend your branch, you bend the branch. There, and nip off that little piece. Kind of one of those nice, quiet type of things, projects that we can do just kind of snugging and moving along as we go. Each time I'm going to set it and make sure I want my branches going in a particular direction. You can see that. Twisted old trunks, the twisted old roots. These branches come down here a little bit, and I've decided I want them up a little higher. So I'm going to move them just a little bit more up. And gave myself a little space in there. Okay, so now I have 3 more colors that I want to put on here and 3 more branches, but I want 2 rows of them. As you can tell, I took a little extra and twisted this up. So I'm going to untwist this a little bit so that I can get a little bit more of my branching on that one. So now we've gotten a lot more of our beadwork done on here. It's starting to kind of take a different kind of a shape. The last 2 things I noticed here, I was like, my branches didn't come out with an even number on there. So it depends on how you've wrapped. But remember, this is your tree, and these wires and that are thin enough at this gauge, and this particular gauge was 26, that I was able to take them. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 1 bead down, but I'm going to take it down over 2 wires because I kind of want to fill this area in a little more. In that. So you can see that I'm doing it over 2 wires. I'm going to put a little bit more to that. So let me thread a few onto there, and you can do the same thing. So don't worry if you ended up with a few more wires than you thought you were going to have or didn't have enough. Unwrap, go back, do it a little bit different, or twist 2 together and use that way. I think I can get one more comfortably on this row. And if you're worrying, well, my branches aren't in this exact location that I wanted them to be, don't worry, we're going to fix a little bit of that too. So there now I've got 4 beads on there, and I think that fits comfortably, so I'm going to wrap both of these pieces of wire around and pull them snug. And both of them, and pull them up snug. And one more time. And remember, if you've got pliers, feel free to use the pliers, not your little tiny wire cutters. And the reality of it is that I have used fingernail clippers when I couldn't use wire cutters on a thin wire like this. Not exactly what you want to do with your nail clippers, but it can be done. And so I'm going to nip this, and I'm going to push that down, so those little tips aren't sticking out. I have one more branch, so I want to see how exactly I want to fit this in. And I think I'm going to bend it down a little and then back up. See if you can see how that branch kind of took a twist down there at the bottom. And now I can still fit the last of my few beads on here that I want. And again, this time I'm going over 2 wires because this is the last set of beads I'm putting on. Now, if you've done your tree all in one color, you're not looking for any particular pattern, you can make your branches as full or as sparse as you choose. This is your pendant or your piece. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap that wire back around again. I don't want that branch to go any lower than that, so I think I'm going to pull that real tight and smush it down in there. Push it back up through. Remember, we want to do that at least 2 or 3 times through there. And on most of these, I think I've done 3. Snug it tight, snug it tight. I'm going to take my nippers, nip it off, and then I'm going to take my fingers and I'm just going to take those little tips, push them down smooth so they don't snag on anything. And basically, this is how my tree has come out. Doesn't matter which side you look at, I like it on both, but I don't quite think I like the way that my branch is shaped. You may think the same thing. So this one here I'm going to move this branch a little bit this way. I'm going to give that one a little twist and this one a little twist. Okay, maybe I like that back up there. So what I'm trying to show you here is that your branches may not be exactly where you wanted them. And that's okay, because you can take and you can twist these any way you want. You can use a little pair of tweezers, you can use the little pliers. Twist them any way you want. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to get our jump ring, and we're going to separate the jump ring. And for some of you, you're going to use your pliers, but like I showed you before, you can just use your fingers. Now, for those of you that don't want to do a jump ring, if say you've done this and you didn't get the jump rings and you don't have a little necklace piece like this item right here that we're going to use, that's what these ribbons are for back here. Feel comfortable, open up your ribbon. You can take a little piece of ribbon off tuck it through where it is you want your necklace to be hanging from. And so up here I've decided I'm going to put it between this turquoise. I'm going to move it up here. You can put your ribbon straight through there. And you just bring your other pieces up through this little hoop at the top here. And you hang it off a piece of ribbon from your neck. Take this off of here, because I'm going to go with my jump hoop today. I'm going to take that jump hoop, I'm going to put it right back up through here. I'm going to squeeze it back together. And again, you can do this with your fingers, you can do it with pliers. See, it went together fine there. Make sure, I'm going to go around all my necklace now at the top here. Make sure all my little wires are staying down nice and tight. Twist them with my fingers. My necklace is there. Put this piece through. And there we have it. We're ready to wear our pretty pendant, the Tree of Life. It was really fun doing this with you today. I hope you've had as much fun with it and enjoy your pendant.